everyone. It's Stacy from Achievers Prep. Welcome to another edition of It's All Education, the video and audio podcast. Today, I have a very special guest with me, a guest that I connected with immediately when I found out what it is she does, because I am myself a survivor of violence, abuse, and trauma. And that is something that is very near and dear to my heart, and something I've been working with a local nonprofit here in Orlando, Florida, called Giving Voices Project. So when I came across this individual, this wonderful individual, and I came across her information, I was blown away at the things she was also doing with regard to survivors. And I won't give it all away, but I'm going to take this opportunity to introduce the most dynamic, most amazing person I have met to date. And that is Miss Jennifer Ramirez. Go ahead, Jennifer. It is on you. Tell us all about you, yourself, and what it is you do.
Hey, Stacy. So thank you for having me. So I'm Jennifer Ramirez, and I do have a couple of things going on. So I am the founder of a nonprofit based out of Chicago called And Rise. So the And means your story's not over yet. There's more to tell. And the Rise means rising above any adversities that you've been through. So we offer women free counseling in Illinois. We also offer free in-person and virtual support groups. We have 3 of those a week. And then we also offer women free resources on our website, as well as different events like personal and professional development workshops. For example, we have one coming up in January called the Boudoir Fundraiser. So it's essentially helping women feel sexy and confident in their skin. And we're going to have hair and makeup, and they're going to be taking pictures of themselves, however naked or unnaked they want to be. So, that's just I really pride myself on making my events different so that women, one, want to come and they have fun and they feel comfortable and they feel safe. And that's just really, really important for me. And in
I
addition,
love that.
oh, sorry,
I love that you're doing that, because when we think of survivors, we immediately go to the dark and we immediately go to the sad and we start the
Yep.
weeping process. But what you're saying with the whole photography thing and feeling sexy and feeling beautiful, you know what I'm saying? That is the joy that comes from getting on the other side and actually being a survivor.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
thriving.
Absolutely. And I think it's going to be a great event. And then in addition to And Rise, I also am a coach. So I'm a trauma coach and a narcissistic abuse coach. So I help women that have been through trauma or abuse, helping them heal and move forward, helping them get rid of their emotional pain and heal from it so that they can flourish into the person that God created them to be. I'm a faith-based company, so we do incorporate faith and spirituality into the healing work that we do, and we work through boundaries, acceptance, forgiveness, integrity, self-love, self-care, and goal setting, because I think it's really important to have something to look forward to. It's not just all about healing. It's about, okay, I went through this horrible stuff, but what am I going to do now? Like,
Right.
who am I? Who do I want
Right.
to be one day,
Right.
if you aren't already on your way there. So
Right.
yeah.
Right. Now you said a lot. You said a lot. You obviously, like I said, you are dynamic. You are one of the most dynamic women I have met. And you do a lot. But I want to unpack some of what you said, especially with regard to the fact that you said that you are a coach. Now we hear about a lot of different coaches, but I heard something about a narcissist coach. Now, what does that mean? Is that a coach? You're coaching people on how to recognize it, or you're coaching them through being one?
No, I'm coaching them through healing from one. So a lot of the women that I help are actually currently getting divorced from their narcissist, or they maybe never got married and they're trying to heal from that. So narcissistic abuse is very, very serious and it's very real. And a lot of people think abuse, they think, black eye and scratches and stuff like that. But emotional abuse is really, really detrimental to your emotional and mental health, because it's something that can't really be proven unless you have like text messages. But usually this stuff is said in person or via phone calls. So there's no proof. So sometimes these women are being emotionally abused by these people, and they try to go to the cops to get an order of protection or something, and they're saying there's no proof. So then they just continue to get abused, and it's just very detrimental to them. And so I help them work through how to deal with a narcissist, for one, and two, how to heal from them as well, because a lot of them have kids with these people. So obviously it's not just like you can write them off, you still got to deal with them, but there's ways that you can work through that. Incorporating boundaries is a huge, huge thing that I teach people about. And once you start doing that, you gain your power back. And once you stop giving in to all their crap, then they start to kind of go on to their next victim, unfortunately, because
Right.
they cannot be that by themselves. They just pick a new victim instead of changing. They'll just pick someone else to abuse, unfortunately.
Right. And I love that you're bringing this to the forefront. I love that you're helping the community to understand, because I think so often we ignore the
Mhm.
signs. We ignore people who say that they are encountering and they are dealing and living with this kind of abuse, because like you said, it's not the kind of abuse that leaves visible scars. It's not the kind of abuse
Right.
that's easily recognizable, because somebody might say, oh well, someone's mean to me. Well, okay, that's one thing, but there's also such a thing as intimidation. There's
Mhm.
intimidation. You can intimidate someone without ever laying hands on them. And
Mhm.
although I know people think, oh well, that you're just being weak, that's really not it. There is a
No.
mental manipulation that takes place when you experience that type of emotional dominance and that type of emotional abuse.
Mhm. Yeah.
And
Absolutely.
that can be equally as traumatic. In fact, I know for a fact that people who suffer that type of abuse have a form of PTSD.
Mhm.
you know
Yeah, I deal with a lot of women that suffer from PTSD because of it. Yeah. Mhm.
I myself am a survivor in many ways, and
Mhm.
I was struggling, to come on today to meet with you, to do this video, because those traumas are still very real for me,
Mhm.
and they come in waves. They
Yeah.
come in waves. Just when I think I'm I'm superwoman and I've got this shield of protection in front of me, then
Yeah.
something happens. My kid says, "Mommy, this hurt me," or "Why is this happening?" Or just maybe even their laughter, or maybe their tears, or
Yeah.
just anything can
Yeah.
trigger and take me to a point where I'm beating myself up and I'm saying, "You were so stupid. Why did you do that? Didn't you know
Mhm.
better? Don't you know better? You know,
Yeah.
what could you have done differently?" And then you keep playing that and replaying that, and I don't do it from the standpoint that it's like a pity party for me. I do it
Right.
more as a self-examination, because I'm always trying to prick myself. It's always like I'm always trying to stick myself to make sure that I'm living in reality and that I'm not living in a fantasy that I created. But
Mhm.
even while doing that, I realized that it causes me to relive the trauma.
Mhm.
It's like it's happening again, and
Yeah.
it leaves me in a place where I still feel vulnerable,
Mhm.
and I feel inadequate. And so I have to push through that. Part of being a survivor is getting on the other side of that. Part of it
Yeah.
is pushing through, like I did today. I had to push through those feelings, and I'm still very raw about
Yeah.
them. But I had to push through those feelings because I was determined to meet with you today so we could have this conversation, so we could bring this information, put it out to the public, put it out to people, and help educate the public, educate our communities on what abuse, the effects of abuse, how the lingering effects of abuse can appear,
Yeah.
and
And
how
I think
you can get through it. You can get through it. You can get past it. You can push
you
through it.
can.
So I was determined to do this today. So thank you for coming on with me, and thank you for
Yeah.
putting up with me.
Yeah, of course. No, and I appreciate you being vulnerable because I know that's not easy. And I always tell people it's okay to not be okay. And I love that you're strong enough to say, I'm not okay right now. I was triggered earlier and I'm still pushing it through and I'm still here. So it's a great example that you're giving other people that, sometimes you do got to push through, but sometimes, if you need to reschedule or take the day off and go lay in bed and take a nap, that's okay too. You got to always got to take care of yourself first. Self-care is a very, very crucial thing, especially when you're working through healing.
That's right. And I love that you told me it's okay to not be okay. So,
Mm-hmm.
I'm doing this and I'm not okay, but that's
Mm-hmm.
okay.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to get it done. We're going to get through this because it is the mission, it is the message, it is the purpose that is
Yeah.
most important in all of this. And fulfilling my purpose gives me purpose and it gives me strength. It is what helps me, choke back the tears and actually find the joy inside so my smile is real. It's
Mm-hmm.
not pretend, it's real. you
Yeah.
know you made me feel like, okay, it's okay if you don't want to do this, but if you want to do this, I'm with you, I'm going to stand with you, and we're going to get through this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I'll always do that. Just for not just you, but for anyone else that I work with, and sometimes there's days that just are not good and I just can't talk about it or whatever. We can't, go through with it and it's okay. And I
Right.
think society has told us it's not okay to not be okay. And that's a very wrong message. Because then when we're having a bad day, it's like, oh, get over it. It's just not
Right.
that easy, especially when it comes to trauma and abuse. So
Right. And look what happened to the world when the pandemic happened. You know what I'm
mhm.
saying? The
Yeah.
whole world was forced to stop at some point.
Hmm.
Even though we are always in a constant state of perpetual motion, we are always constantly moving and doing, right? The
Hmm.
pandemic came and said, okay, let's stop. We got to stop. And
Yeah.
even just a few days ago, Facebook, Instagram, WhatsApp,
It
social
broke.
media was a buzz because the heads or the big guys were down for a few hours. Okay. I think officially it was 6 hours. Okay. Officially, I think is what it was.
Okay.
And let me tell you, there were people who had to stop and reassess what they had prioritized previously.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not a prophet of any kind, but I have been touting that you need to have plan A, plan B, plan C, especially when you're running businesses, and that you
Hmm.
cannot solely rely on platforms or vehicles of information that you do not own or control.
Right.
And we all know who owns and controls those parts of social media that went down the other day.
Hmm. Sure do.
And yeah, and it was crazy. It was crazy how many people were like, Stacy, I think I want to talk about doing some other things to make sure that I'm in touch with my people, in touch with my network, in touch with my clients,
Hmm.
in touch with my customers, just kind of not so solely dependent on social media, you know.
Right.
So even
Absolutely.
with Facebook, there was a time that, you had to stop and take a pause.
Hmm.
Even if
Yeah.
it was forced, right?
Yeah. Definitely. Yeah. For
So
sure.
sometimes that's how I see survivorship, is that
Hmm.
I was forced into becoming stronger. I was forged in the fire of that trial that I went through with the abuse, the trauma, and all of that. And
Yeah.
that is what has strengthened me. That's what's given me my strength. That's what's fortified me, right?
Hmm. Yeah.
Right. Now,
Definitely.
before we get off of
Same.
here, I want you to tell everyone how they can get in touch with you, how they can become a part of some of your programs, and what are your prerequisites for being involved in your programs.
Yeah. So basically, prerequisites for and rise for wanting to do free counseling, you have to live in Illinois because unfortunately, counselors can't counsel over state lines. But we do plan to expand that to the U.S. in the next few years. That's our plan. And then if you want to come to a virtual support group, if you're out of Illinois, that's always an option. Even if you're out of the country, we get people from out of the country that come to our Thursday night support groups. But if you're in the Chicagoland
Yay.
area, we also offer in-person support groups on Mondays and Wednesdays at 7 o'clock p.m. And then same thing for Thursdays. It's a 7 o'clock p.m. via Zoom. Just go to the website and you can sign up there. And if you want to join any other events, we also have everything on our website. Or if you'd like to donate to the cause, that's always an option as well. Or if, we're always looking for therapists and counselors, even outside of state right now, that are willing to donate a couple hours of your time to help, these women that are trauma survivors. Or if you want to volunteer in any capacity, definitely reach out to me. www.womenrise chicago.org. You can also, if you're interested in the trauma coaching, I do group coaching and one-on-one private coaching as well. And I know it's very, very helpful to my clients. I get really great feedback about the work that we do. So if you're interested in doing that, I do 30-minute free clarity calls to just give you some more insights around what you're going through and tell you what your next steps should be to start moving forward with your healing. So if you're interested in doing that, you can visit the site to sign up, www.andflourish.co.
That's it. That is it. Amazing. Jennifer, thank you so much for coming on with me today. Thank
Yeah,
you
of
for
course.
everything that you do for women, for survivors. Thank you for being that lantern. You're shining a light
Of
on
course.
this for everyone, and you are providing so many resources and connecting with people in so many ways. I know that when people hear this, when people see this, they're going to say, oh, yeah, I need to reach out right away. So we're going to give that website once again. The website, go ahead, Jennifer, that website was?
It's www.womenrisechicago.org. And the other one is www.andflourish.co.
andflourish.co. All
Yes.
right. This is the point in my program where I always say that the human experience is our classroom, right? And life is
Absolutely.
our teacher. And at the end of the day, it's all education. Thank you so much, Jennifer. Thank you.
Thank you,
Bye
Stacy. Thank
bye.
you. Bye, everyone.